All right, Nika, the post-free agency power rankings are here, and we're talking about them right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
This bullet just handed to me.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, yes, indeed. This is the Kanika Sports Channel, and we have some fresh power rankings hot off the press, Nika.
Ching, ching.
But first, if this is your first time here, please do us a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for our mascot, Frexy. Look at that adorable pup, and she desperately wants us to get to 1,000 subscribers before the NFL draft.
Thank
Bink,
you.
bink.
She does.
So please
Indulge
look at
her.
her eyes and indulge us. Thank you so much. All right, Nika. Well, I gave it away already, but power rankings are here. Post free agency, and the Bears.
The Bears.
The fandom right now and some of the local media are having a bit of a, did we do enough? Are we doing enough? We even covered this on our Stop the Press moment with both Seth Rollins and Mark Grody from The Score.
This is the season.
Overreactions, right, to the early stages of free agency. Like, we didn't get everything we needed yet, and what are we doing? What are we waiting for? And that's not how this works.
The heads are exploding and hairs are on fire, and oh my God.
I know.
Crazy.
And yet, when you look around the landscape of the NFL, I think the power rankings that have come out post free agency tell a little bit of a different story when we're talking about our beloved Bears.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
The Bears.
We got 5 power rankings to go through, and we're going to take a look at what the different media sites had to say about where the Bears are at right now.
All right.
After free agency. This is Eric Edholm, the lead draft writer for the NFL.com. NFL Power Rankings, 49ers crack top 5 after 2026 free agency frenzy. Ravens, Chiefs back on the rise. This was actually published March 16th and updated March 17th. So this is the oldest one of the lot. But as you can see, we go down to where the Bears are, rank 9. And here's what he had to say. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag in free agency so far for the Bears, who have made more noise in recent off seasons. That's true. Last year, we've talked about, was much bigger with the offensive line acquisitions when free agency opened. It goes on to say Devin Bush replacing Tremaine Edmonds and Kobe Bryant replacing Kevin Byard could end up a wash or maybe a tiny upgrade. I would argue maybe more than a tiny. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Losing DJ Moore stings, but they got a pretty good trade return for him and have some more ammo with 4 picks in the top 89 of the draft.
Hell yeah!
It does sting from like a personal standpoint because DJ Moore is all intents and purposes, a nice guy.
Sure.
And he has a nice smile and he looks like a happy person when he's playing for the Bears, but this isn't the end of the world. That some people painted out. Anyways, finishing up, it says, if you factor in a young roster continuing to bloom, it's possible to see improvements from within, too. I still think they'll find a way to grab some headlines either in the draft or before it, but the Bears are being prudent and holding serve well enough for now. There you go. They're
It's
just
not
being
a bad-
smart right now.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about on some of our other segments, and just want to remind people, this is a deep edge rushing draft class, at least according to the establishment heads right now. That can all change.
Sure.
But if it is, then maybe you're better off spending some of your capital there. Let's move on to Fox Sports Power Rankings. This was published on March 22nd. 2026 NFL Power Rankings. Rams, Vikings surge. Cowboys, Steelers fall after free agency. That's the headline, but in the middle here, we find at number 8, so a little higher than NFL.com, we have the Bears, who were previously ranked 10. They actually get a bump of 2 spots here. They lost.
That's not bad.
Yes. Now, this little blurb says they lost a long list of players, but found mostly good replacements, like safety Kobe Bryant, linebacker Devin Bush, and center Garrett Bradbury. The defense needed more, though, especially at edge rusher.
All right, we all know that.
It's a common theme, but
Right.
thanks for reminding us, everybody. We know we need an edge rusher.
Thanks.
The Super Bowl odds currently at plus 2,500, as Fox Sports likes to remind us. They're always promoting the gambling, Fox Sports over there. Plus 2,500, so $100 will net you 2,500 in profit. Let's move on to CBS, another broadcaster of the NFL's finest. Games every Sunday. Prisco's NFL Power Rankings, Free Agency Edition, NFC West Dominance, Dolphins starting over from ground floor. And this was by Pete Prisco, everybody. This was published March 18th. And he, in his long list, I actually could screen grab a nice shot here of his list. Now, I want to call out Pete here because I'm a little irritated. He has the Packers over the Bears, and he's one of the few establishment heads that actually has the power rankings Packers ahead of the Bears after last season. And I think that's a little bit of a crime, to be honest, because we have bragging rights this offseason. You can't put them ahead of us. That's blasphemy.
He is the Packers fan.
Well, I'm just maybe getting a little insight here as to where this establishment writer, Pete Prisco's loyalties lie.
It's CBS, so.
But he still has the Bears in the top 10, so I
Okay.
can't give him too much crap right now.
What number do they got?
Number 9.
All right.
So
So the
tied
same
with
as NFL.
NFL.com. After center Drew Dahlman retired, they traded for Garrett Bradbury to fill that role, which is a downgrade. Ouch. Ouch. Sorry, Garrett. Left tackle is also a concern. They also didn't address the pass rush help they need. I'll argue that they took care of some of the left tackle issue by bringing back Braxton Jones on a 1-year prove-it deal. They also brought in some competition through free agency for that position, and we know how Ben Johnson likes to have tryouts.
So we're gonna have tryouts.
And we got draft coming up.
Absolutely. I think the Bears are almost in a position in the draft where they should take sort of best player need available.
Right, and they can flip him.
If you have a tackle highest on your draft board and you're drafting 25th, like maybe you take a tackle there.
Maybe, and then you
Poor Ozzie Trapillo, man. It's
Well,
just a damn shame.
It is.
He was the one.
Speed recovery.
Wishing him well. Anyways, the Garrett Bradbury move, I don't know if this is the downgrade that people are making it out to be. I know he's not Drew Dahlman. I'll give you that. But I think for what the Bears need him to be, someone that can help Caleb recognize what the defenses are throwing at him and somebody that can help call out to the rest of the linemen, experience, all of that. I think he brings it. He was under center in the Super Bowl. last
Exactly.
year.
So he has some experience. You can't tell me that because of him they lost the game.
I don't think this move is like I said, weakening the Bears as
Yeah.
much as people are making it out to be. It's not ideal. Obviously, I wanted Drew Dahlman back, but he's not here anymore.
Exactly.
So this is it. Anyways, still mad about the Packers being ranked over the Bears here, but nothing you can do. We got Sports Illustrated, Nika. Post free agency NFL power rankings. Bengals, Commanders are contenders again. This is by Connor Orr. This was published on March 24th. Shout out to my dad. Happy birthday. Let's scroll down to what they had to say. Bears, 10th overall. So maintaining that top 10 position here. The Kobe Bryant, Devin Bush 1-2 punch was a major victory for Dennis Allen and a Bears defense that was still struggling with an identity crisis in the post-Matt Eberflus era. Wow, that is put beautifully. I got to give Connor some credit here. The players that we lost on defense in this free agency period are all remnants from the Matt Eberflus era. And I want people to keep that in mind when, it looks like a big list, but they weren't necessarily made for the system that Ben Johnson wants. And that's why these transition times are kind of tough at first with teams.
And a lot of times you have a 3-year window for this whole thing to happen. You know, with a new coach, new offensive line, defensive line, it takes around 3 years to get it all figured out.
All figured out. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. It goes on to say Bush has shed all of his early career labels and turned into one of the most underrated front seven weapons in the NFL. I like that. a lane clogging linebacker who is an instant threat to deflect or intercept passes. And we also talked about how pairing him with DeMarco Jackson gives the Bears one of the fastest linebacker rooms in all the NFL. And you got to love that. Now, these are not the big linebackers of old that the Bears are used to with Brian Urlacher and Mike Singletary and Dick Butkus. I'll give you that. But it's a different game. And speed is the prevailing
Speed is at the
trait,
premium.
I think, that people want.
And Ben Johnson wants that. Let's not forget that.
He wants speed and he wants explosiveness. Just because you're smaller doesn't mean you can't hit hard. I played against some small guys out there, and sometimes they rocked my bell more than some of the bigger guys did because they were faster.
Sure.
Anyways, like what Sports Illustrated is saying here, and again, so all you got CBS, Sports Illustrated, Fox Sports, and NFL.com all have the Bears as a top third NFL team post free agency.
Okay.
And before the draft.
So don't jump off the bridge
I
yet.
just feel like there's been so much doom and gloom and, the Bears didn't do enough. And yet, like, are we really being honest with ourselves here?
No, this is the instant gratification culture, and Chicago media has zero patience.
And together, when they're combined, it just makes for some
Drama.
I just feel like some really off the mark sports talk. And that's why we're here. We're here to keep them in line and keep them in check. And we're here to show all the evidence that exists out there right now that, like, this is not as bad as people are making it out to be. Certain personalities, Mark Grody. All right, let's move on to Pro Football Focus, the analytics website for the NFL. What I like to call the stat nerds, right, Nika?
Yeah.
The headline reads, post-free agency power rankings, Rams, Seahawks pace the NFL. And one thing I want to point out, we have between all these headlines here, it's like different teams. 49ers, Ravens, Chiefs from NFL.com. Fox Sports says Rams, Vikings. CBS, Dolphins starting over from ground floor. NFC West dominance. So more 49ers, Rams, Seahawks. We have the Sports Illustrated calling out the Bengals and Commanders. And now Pro Football Focus says Rams, Seahawks. So everyone's kind of all over the place with who they think, quote unquote, won the free agency, right? And that just goes to show you no one knows. No one knows. Anyways, back to Pro Football Focus here. This was Mason Cameron, and this was put out on March 19th. And when we scroll down to the Bears, 15th, Pro Football Focus was the lowest out of all of these websites. So the analytics nerds took the Bears down the furthest. The retirement of center Drew Dahlman and the trade of DJ Moore, combined with a deep list of pending free agents on defense, set the stage for a busy offseason in Chicago. Trading for Garrett Bradbury filled the need left by Dahlman at center, and the signings of Kobe Bryant and Devin Bush addressed the voids on defense left by the departures of Kevin Byard and Tremaine Edmonds. Despite some of the departures, such as Byard and cornerback Nashawn Wright, directly impacting the Bears' league-leading takeaway numbers, the new additions should help stabilize a defense that ranked 29th in average yards per play allowed in 2025. So I get a little bit of mixed signals while I'm reading this from Pro Football Focus, because it seems like they want to acknowledge that the defense is going to be stabilized with some of our new signings and that we were ranked 29th in average. I will push back and say that, yes, we did lead the league in turnovers last year, but I don't know if that would have been sustainable year over year.
That's true. And let's not forget, analytics alone doesn't win you games.
No.
So if they just come with analytics to the table.
Well, I think, can I elaborate on that a little bit? What I want to say is that I feel like analytics only measures what's been done so far in your career. And yet we have talked about specifically Ben Johnson being a coach in the NFL that we feel can get a lot more out of players than maybe some of the other coaches. Like he's getting paid to do that at least. You know, he even talks about his job being to teach the game to the players. And yes, we all know that his number one relationship is with number 18, quarterback 1, Caleb Williams. But this is something that I think is an organizational philosophy that
he's a
he
coach.
has certain types of players that he likes. It's not just about getting the quarterback to play awesome. That's a big part of it. But he wants certain types of football players, explosive, fast.
Younger.
And that's what this is all about right now. We're turning over our roster a little bit, and we have to be patient. Let's just wait until the draft happens. I think.
And then jump off the bridge.
Pro Football Focus is being a little bit like a bridge jumper here because they're just looking at the numbers. And yeah, when you look at what we lost on paper, you're losing a lot of statistics, a lot of tackles, a lot of interceptions. So I get all that. You're losing a lot with DJ Moore, at least on paper. But I think when you look at it beyond the analytics, okay, we're going to get more out of Roma Dunze going forward. Luther Burden's going to get even better going into year 2. We still have Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, so we have a lot of passing weapons on this roster as it sits right now. Garrett Bradbury, we went and got the best available center for the price. The center market was disgusting this year in free agency, headlined by Tyler Linderbaum's. What did he get? 28 million a year or some crap? That's ridiculous. Our center's costing us $7 million this year. And we might be able to find another future center in the draft since Drew Dahlman decided to retire.
Well, the Bears are shopping at the bargain store. We know this because there's going to be a lot of money that needs to be spent next year.
Well, normally I would defend the analytics nerds, but I'm giving them a hard time here because I think this is not the best time to do power rankings for them. You know, I think because everything is based on, like I just said, existing numbers and metrics, and that's all they're going to pull. And that's all they're going to look at. And, you know, they're not going to look at a Dio Odangbo coming back and Ben Johnson getting more out of that player in year 2 and demanding it almost.
So we're going to have tryouts.
Putting competition at the positions of weakness right now on this roster and seeing who wants the damn job.
Yeah.
So that's all. And obviously it's not measurable, those things. Those are immeasurable intangibles. I guess to sum up these power ranking articles, I think it depends on who you want to listen to, but the local media and the online fan base in certain areas seem to be disconnected with what the Bears are actually doing here, and that they're still a really damn good football team as it stands right now, pre-draft, and there's still a long offseason to go before we get to September and see what this final roster going into the season looks like. All right. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree more with Pro Football Focus that it's just kind of like, or do you still see the Bears as a top 10 team in the league, even post free agency?